Nyajongwa, Tsoling Sotu. Hello, everybody. Today, I want to answer a question. Why do I love the Hmong people? That's a really, really difficult question to answer. But I'm going to have to answer this one in English. So please stick this video out because it's going to be a long one, but it's going to be a powerful one. And I might get emotional for parts of it. So please forgive me. I'll try my best to not be super emotional. Basically, I started learning Hmong and about Hmong people back in 2015 at the end of the year. A lot of people have met missionaries, and as a lot of you who've met missionaries probably already know, I started learning the Hmong language as a missionary. And I was called to serve in Minnesota. And when I learned the Hmong language, basically what happened was they put me in a class for 12 weeks. And they only spoke to me in Hmong for 12 weeks. And I had to listen and pick up what they were telling me, and I had to be able to respond to them in Hmong. And that was really hard. I remember the first day I walk in, and the teacher says to me, "Nyao Zhong," and I'm like, what? I didn't understand anything, and I was so nervous. And the second day, they wanted me to go teach someone in Hmong, but it's only my second day ever learning the language. I just remember knocking on the door and handing a dude a book and saying, "Budoka," and then I just tried to leave. And I was so scared. And everything that people would say to me, I didn't understand. It was scary. But as I got further into my mission, I really started to develop a love for the Hmong people that I just hadn't had before. And it was really powerful, but I feel like at this point in time, it was kind of like a honeymooner period. I was really naive to a lot of the struggles that Hmong people were going through. I didn't understand them. I didn't understand the culture as much as I thought I did. And things, as I got further into my mission, just seemed to stay like that for a long time. It got more powerful and more powerful. I really loved the Hmong people, but I didn't really understand them. And I feel like after I got home from my mission, I still wanted to work with Hmong people, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. I did a bunch of odd jobs until I eventually got a job in Vientiane. And I remember I was so stoked to move out to Laos. Thought it'd be so cool to be able to teach the people there, and I really, really wanted to work with the Hmong people there. But I learned really quickly that it's not very easy to work with the Hmong community in Laos. And not for reasons that you would think, mainly for financial reasons. I was teaching at an English school, and English schools aren't very cheap. I mean, by American standards, they're cheap. But by Laos standards, they're pretty expensive. And I learned that, it was really hard for Hmong children to be able to afford classes at my school. And though I would have one or two, the majority of my classes were Lao students, which was kind of a letdown for me. I really wanted to work with the Hmong community. But after marrying my wife, that's when I really started to see things, I feel like, in a more clear perspective. I don't know what your in-laws are like over in Laos. And I don't know what your in-laws are like that are Hmong, if you guys are like me. I love my mother-in-law. She's amazing. I love my father-in-law. I love all my in-laws. They're amazing people. And I feel like with some of them I have a lot of grounds to not like them, but I don't. I don't use that. I really love my in-laws. But this will bring me to my first story. I feel like this is when I really had to make a decision on are the Hmong people really a people that I should help and that I should truly love. And ultimately the decision that I made was yes. But let's jump into this story. I was in Laos, and COVID had just hit. Me and my wife had learned that we couldn't leave the country because her visa would have been denied to come to the United States because the United States had a ban on all visas to come to the United States from Laos. And it was a really tough time, but things just got more compounded because I had a lot of family members that were doing things that were not correct with the law, if you guys know what I mean. And that scared me. It scared me a lot. And I didn't want to be around family members that could get me in trouble or my family in trouble. And so I would avoid them, and I didn't want anything to do with them. But as you know, in the Hmong culture, you can't do that. You can't just throw your family away. And even in the American culture, you can't do that. You can't just throw your family away. Um, but I really, really, really wanted to get away from them because they were doing things that were very dangerous, and I didn't want to be around them. But there was one person, one of my family members had recently gotten married, and this person's wife was one of the sweetest people on the planet. Such a hard worker, such an amazing person. And we used to go over and spend time with my sister-in-law all the time, because the rest of the family, not my mother-in-law or my father-in-law, but the rest of the family would be gone. And she would be home alone like weeks on end or nights on end, and it just started to get really, really bad. And I remember going over there, and she would just burst into tears, and we'd hear about all these horrible things that were going on. And I kept thinking to myself, like, why? Like, how could you do these things, And at this point in time, things started to get really, really bad with the family. So I decided we're not going to go over there anymore. We can't even go over and see her, because if we go over there, we're putting ourselves, my family, in danger. And I was not willing to do that. And I remember the last night that we were going to spend there, like just visiting. This is the last night. I had pulled the final straw. We're not coming back. And I just remember this lady's husband. He just was being extremely, extremely abusive. And I was like this close to just standing up and just getting involved, but I didn't. It's probably one of my biggest regrets that I have to this day. It's not getting involved. And I remember I was sitting there and I was like, how can you treat your wife like this? How can you do this to your family? And the thing was, I didn't just see it in my wife's family. I saw it in so many other families. So many families. And it hurt. But I was dead set in my ways, and we're not coming back. We're never coming back. And I remember the next day, we'd got a phone call. And it was from one of the brothers, and the brother said, you need to come to the hospital. Because that sister-in-law had just tried to take her own life. And by the time we got there, it was too late. Sorry, you guys. And at this point, we were stuck in the country, and we felt in danger all the time. At least I did. I don't know about my wife. And this happened. And I just thought to myself, how? How could you let this happen? And I had so much anger build up in my heart. And I remember sitting down and thinking, I came here to help Hmong people. And this is what's happening. And I asked myself a question that I will never ask myself again. I asked myself, is it worth it? Because I was so tired of dealing with these horrible things that were happening all the time, all around, and you could see it, and you just knew. Broken families and children without parents, and It was so sad. And there were a lot of days that were sad because of new things. And I remember going to my boss at the time and saying, there are these 3 Hmong kids that are learning at the school because, I gotta calm down before I say this, they have a scholarship and they really want to come study with me, but they can't afford the class. And I was able to convince him that we should lower the price of the class just for these students so that they can study. And afterwards I went and I told the student, and one of them took me out back and man, I should just edit this out. He started to cry. And he said to me, "You really love the Hmong people?" And I just remember all that anger went away. And I realized that I could see Hmong people, and not everybody's like this, but I could see Hmong people not for who they are at the moment, but who they could be. That it's not that I want to help Hmong people because I really always wanted to, but that they really needed my help. And I'm not a savior. I'm not saving anybody. But that all that anger wasn't worth it. And all the sadness that was going on all around me, there were solutions to all of these problems. And I decided that I needed to change my attitude. And I needed to remember that I really, really do love the Hmong people. And from that point on, my perspective changed. I ended up leaving that school and starting this page. this Facebook's my Facebook page, my YouTube, and everything else. I started it. And I remember posting a video asking, "Do you guys want to learn English?" And I got so much response. It actually wasn't the first video I posted. The first video I posted was about telling people that you love them. But the next video I posted was about learning English. And the response was so amazing that I decided that I needed to leave the school I was working for, and I needed to focus on the Hmong people, because that's why I feel like I was called to Laos. And so I sacrificed my income, what little I had, moved out, and we just tried to do it all on our own. And it was really hard, but it was worth it. And at this point in time, I decided I needed to make amends for the anger that I felt for my family members and for the people that were around me. So I spent a lot of time visiting relatives that were locked up in Lao prisons. I spent a lot of time visiting relatives in other states, provinces all over the country, not doing touristy stuff, and just trying to help people as much as I could. And I feel like that's when I really realized that I love the Hmong people. And just how amazing they are. And I know that there's this culture where, you know, they say like, Hmong, Hmong, like the Hmong people love the Hmong people. And there's also the same culture that's Hmong Zoom Hmong. The Hmong people hate each other. And I've seen it, and I understand why. I understand why it's hard. And it is hard, it's not easy. But there's such a great potential. And it's driven me to work as hard as I can for my relatives, for my siblings, for as many people as I can help. And unfortunately, I feel like the reason that we have a lot of these problems is because a lot of the Hmong people there are refugees in their own country. And they don't have anywhere they can go or anything they can do. They're stuck. And I just needed to open my heart. And I hope this answers the question for you guys, because it's a complicated answer. But there's a lot to love. And when you guys are tired of the culture and you're tired of maybe your relatives or just Hmong people in general, don't give up. Because more than me, they need you. And they need your love. And they need your strength. And trust me, it will make a difference. Whether it's one student that can barely afford a class, or whether it's just saying hi to your brother that you haven't said hi to in years, it makes a difference. And thank you so much for watching this video. I didn't edit anything, tried not to edit anything, so that you guys could just get it raw the way it is. And I tried to be honest with you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for your support. Shinjirua.